When we mourn Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, we mourn more than just a great man. The first popularly elected Prime Minister and first ever Sindhi President and Prime Minister of Pakistan. We mourn the murder of democracy. We mourn the murder of justice. We mourn for our country. The Supreme Court of Pakistan sentenced Shaheed Bhutto to death by hanging for a crime he didn't commit. This judicial murder was not the first nor the last flawed decision of our courts. Unfortunately, our courts have often stood on the wrong side of history. From the doctrine of necessity to the judicial murder of Shaheed Bhutto, to the continued legitimization of violations of our constitution, our courts have not performed the role envisioned by the Constitution of Pakistan. In 2007, in the final months of the dictatorship of the day, our courts gave us hope. The brave stance adopted by our judges and the support of the lawyers' movement gave us hope that Pakistan would have a truly independent and impartial judiciary. The restoration of these judges by our Prime Minister was a truly historic milestone for our country. Now it is up to the courts to redeem their institution's sullied reputation in the eyes of history. Was their brave stance evidence of the beginning of a new era in Pakistan, where the judges of our courts will be remembered for dispensing justice, supporting democracy, and refusing to do the bidding of the establishment? Or was their stance in 2007 just the exception that proves the rule? Were our hopes raised for naught? Must we learn the hard way that once a PCO judge, always a PCO judge? Time will tell. I am confident that the PPP will finally get the justice we deserve in the eyes of history. I am confident that the Supreme Court will deliver us this justice. I am confident that the Supreme Court will not stand in our way. The Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto reference case is a golden opportunity for the Supreme Court. I expect the Supreme Court to finally provide us justice. Justice in the eyes of history. The court must set the record straight. Justice in the eyes of the law. This unholy judgment and the precedent set by it must be revoked. Justice in the eyes of the people, the Pakistan People's Party, and the Bhutto family. The Supreme Court must apologize for the role its institution played in the judicial murder of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto Shaheed. The Supreme Court once told us that Shaheed Bhutto was guilty. The court of history is on our side and has proved him innocent. There have been some positive developments in the decisions taken by the court to right the wrongs of the past. These developments give me the confidence to believe that the Bhuttos of Larkana will also see the justice they deserve. The Sharifs of Lahore have had their trumped-up charges squashed. I do not believe that there will be double standards. I do not believe that Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto of Larkana is hanged, but he does not get justice, while the Sharifs of Lahore have been vindicated. Similarly, the Asghar Khan case has finally been taken up by the Supreme Court. Shaheed Mohtarama Benazir Bhutto fought for decades for this case to be heard. It is a positive development that following the demands of Imran Khan of Lahore, the case has finally been heard. I have no doubt that the forces that conspired against the Pakistan People's Party and Shaheed Mohtarama Benazir Bhutto will be finally brought to justice. Despite these positive developments, there have been some worrying signs. More than 50% of the terrorists presented before our courts have been freed. I am told there is a lack of evidence and the blame lies with the prosecution. The rapists of our sister Mukhtara Mai have been freed by the courts, presumably for the same reasons. How can there be enough evidence to hang Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, but not enough evidence to keep terrorists and rapists in prison? How can there be enough evidence to keep Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto, President Asif Ali Zardari, and Prime Minister Gilani behind bars without a conviction for so long, but you cannot imprison terrorists and rapists? How can there be enough evidence to attempt to try the grave of Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto, but you cannot imprison terrorists and rapists? I urge the courts to proceed with caution. I urge the courts to revisit their flawed judgment in the Mukhtara Mai case. I urge the courts to help keep Pakistan safe and punish the terrorists for the crimes they have committed. I urge the courts to remember how they got where they are today. On May 12th, 2007, 40 members of my party lost their lives fighting for this Chief Justice and for an independent, impartial judiciary in Pakistan. Is this what they deserve? When will we get justice? The courts are dangerously close to repeating the mistakes of the past. They should resist the temptation to obey the dictation of the establishment. We cannot allow the courts to dig up my mother's grave and put her martyred corpse on trial. Mr. Prime Minister, you will not violate the Vienna Convention. You will not violate the Constitution of Pakistan. You will not desecrate the graves of our martyrs. You may lose your office, you may lose your government, but you must do what is right. There is not only the Supreme Court, there is also the Court of the People and the Court of History. The Supreme Court told us Shaheed Bhutto was guilty. They hanged Zulfikar Ali Bhutto of Larkana, but the Court of the People and the Court of History was on our side, and we have been vindicated. Just as Shaheed Bhutto was vindicated, you too shall be vindicated. They can threaten to send Yusuf Raza Gilani of Multan to prison, but he is a follower of Bhutto Shaheed. We do not fear prison cells. We do not fear death cells. As Shaheed Bhutto said, we would rather die at the hands of a dictator than die at the hands of history. Let us pray that cooler heads prevail. Let us pray that our Supreme Court will once again choose to stand on the right side of history. I have faith in democracy. I have faith in Pakistan. I have faith in you, Mr. Prime Minister. You will make Shaheed Benazir Bhutto and Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto proud. We will get justice. If not now, if not by this court, we will be vindicated in the courts of history. The people have spoken. We are all agreed. Hum Benazir Bhutto Shaheed ki qabr ka trial nahi hone denge. Ya Allah, Ya Rasool, Benazir, Beqasur.